Coming up, I'll show you how this large area of spin and this strong cold front will impact our weather. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather, and it's fantastic to see you on a Wednesday. Hope you're doing well. Hey, coming up in this video, we're going to talk about this front blasting in with a round of showers and storms for our northwest area, some areas that have been very dry lately. We'll talk about this large feature as it moves west into our area, the impacts it's going to bring. Got your island by island rainfall forecast as well. You know, I love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening in your area. You just want to drop a hi. I always appreciate hearing from my Meteo Mundo community. What do you say we get started? The numbers that you see are temperatures in Fahrenheit. A lot of our area today reached the low to mid 80s Fahrenheit. 80 degrees Fahrenheit's right around 27 degrees Celsius, but it's getting cooler up through portions of Florida and the Bahamas and into Quintana Roo as a very strong cold front begins to work its way in. Living in Central Florida, I tell you, the front is already blasted by with a little bit of rain and a few storms and much cooler weather, and that is now knocking on the doorstep for our friends in the Northwest Bahamas. So for Freeport, Lucaya, Nassau, winds are still out of the southwest here late on this Wednesday afternoon, but the winds will be turning as this front comes in, and with it, a fast line of showers and storms. Wind gusts at the hour look like this. Show you all of those. Generally speaking right now, they've been in the 25 to 30 and even some gusts over 35 mile an hour range. So the winds will be picking up for Walker's Key and Grand Bahama and Bimini in short order, and the opportunity for some rain. This is what it looks like from the radar imagery here. Going to take off the satellite for you. This will be a fast round of showers for the Northwest Bahamas, all right? It's already breaking apart a little bit as it moves off the Florida East Coast, but that line should hold together enough to bring some rain to some areas of the northern and northwest Bahamas late on this Wednesday and overnight, and potentially into the central Bahamas as we get into early on Thursday. But again, this line will be breaking apart a little bit as it comes through because relatively speaking, the air is actually somewhat drier here. If you look at the water vapor imagery, look, there is a slug of moisture with the front itself, but the air that's already in the Bahamas is kind of dry, so it has to kind of overcome that drier air, so that rain is going to be eaten apart a little bit, and behind it is a huge wedge of much drier air as well. So it's a limited opportunity for the Bahamas to get some rain, but it's out there. We follow the front and the moisture back into the western sides of Cuba and especially into the Yucatan, Quintana Roo, where it's been a wet day, very breezy day there. This moisture is not moving much, so we've had some heavier rain for Cancun and Cozumel, Merida, Campeche, on over towards Chetumal, and then beginning to develop down into portions of Belize as well, San Pedro and Orange Walk and Belize City, San Ignacio, Dangriga. Again, this front is kind of really slowly working its way through this area where it's kind of rapidly moving through Florida. This moisture is not moving much. So we've had some heavy rain in some spots from time to time, and it'll continue to drift off towards the south. Now, the moisture really hasn't hit Honduras and Nicaragua as of yet, but a couple of showers are building in, and then back on over towards Jamaica and the eastern sides of Cuba, things have been relatively quiet. Kind of in between our two big features here, our front and our large area of spin, which is a trough. We've had pretty tranquil conditions today, although it's been very windy in some spots. So this front will continue to work its way to the south. This trough line is along where that big broad spin is, and it's moving off towards the west. And we've had some ripping easterlies to northeast winds for the Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and Turks and Caicos, and the eastern side of the Bahamas for today as well. So that's kind of the setup for you here. I'm going to actually bring on the buoy data. Going to bring on the wind gusts here, just get a little bit more plot points for you there. But again, it's been a beautiful day for my friends in Kingston and Montego Bay. Again, water vapor imagery, the air is relatively dry. Moisture's trying to return, especially towards the Cayman Islands. It'll do so very slowly, but it'll try and bring in a few showers there. It's been a relatively quiet day for portions of Hispaniola, especially on the Haiti side. We've had a few showers trying to develop late today in the Dominican Republic. This is the visible satellite imagery. You'll note the wind speeds in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. These are ripping east to northeast winds. There's some moisture here, and there's been some fast passing, very spotty showers It hasn't added up to much, but the big story in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands has been the wind. Wind gusts have been 20, 25 miles an hour with some higher gusts, just kind of as a, as an example. Here is St. Thomas. They've had a very steady east wind at around 15 with a wind gust of around 25 to 30 most of the afternoon hours. Speaking of the Virgin Islands, I got some photos to show you out of the British Virgin Islands. This is from Brian Lindsay. Look at this beautiful double rainbow. This is from a couple of days ago, but I still had to show you guys this. What a fantastic shot. Brian, appreciate you sending that in. And then Chad Forbush, which is actually on the same sailboat as Brian. This is from Cane Garden Bay there in the BVI. You can see some of the showers that they had earlier in the week. And again, very fast moving showers. Brian is actually one of the crew on Chad's boat, and I gotta tell you something, Chad, you could learn a little something from your crew, taking those horizontal photos rather than those vertical photos, a little bit better presentation. I'm just joking, Chad, but I'm really not. Appreciate you guys sending me in those photos. It loves to tell the story. And again, these winds will continue very strong out of the northeast. For our mariners, for our boaters, please be very cautious of this. Again, this large feature will continue to crank in very strong northeast winds. We've actually had some winds of even over 30 miles an hour in St. Martin for today. And again, rapidly moving cloud coverage, rapidly moving isolated showers. It hasn't added up to much, but we've had streaks of rain coming in on the southwest side of that feature for places like Antigua and Barbuda and Montserrat. And again, strong northeast wind out of Antigua for today, right around 30 miles an hour. And the winds have been a little bit lighter the farther south that you go. Moisture's a little bit more limited, but look, we've even had a few showers crop up today over St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Little shear line here promoting that. Barbados, and especially down towards Trinidad and Tobago as well. Let me show you that on the enhanced satellite imagery. You can see those showers really developing kind of right over Trinidad, portions of Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela included in some of this activity as well, but right over Trinidad. Nice little moisture plume developing with some isolated but heavier rain. It's been a beautiful, quiet day for my friends in the ABC Islands for today, but I've got another great shot to show you. Jamie sends in this one from Io Santa Cruz, Aruba, of another rainbow. What a gorgeous shot. Jamie, I appreciate you sending that in. And again, that shows you that the ABC Islands have had some rain from time to time in the last couple of days, which is great news for those areas. So if you want to be like Chad and Brian and Jamie here and help to tell the weather story here at Meteo Mundo, send me that picture or video, mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Easiest way to do it, include your name and of course a description of the photo or video and where it's from as well. Okay, friends, what do you say we get into the rest of the forecast here? I think we've pretty much covered everything happening today. A little bit of rain down towards Panama as well, but again, just some moisture kind of moving back in and a very breezy day there as well. So as we do get started in the forecast, appreciate you guys taking a quick second to like the video, to subscribe to Meteo Mundo. Thank you for sharing this with your family and friends. And of course, appreciate the ways you guys support the channel, our memberships, our super thanks, and you can find other ways in the description below as well. So this feature is going to end up being the dominant weather story over the next few days. Yes, it is a few hundred miles east of the Lesser Antilles, but it is already spiraling in a lot of wind, and eventually this is going to get a kick and gets pushed off towards the west. Now, again, this is not going to be a tropical storm, okay? So we're not talking about a depression or tropical storm developing. Could a subtropical system, kind of a mid-level spin develop? Possibly, right? I think that's the highest probability of this as far as any concern. But more than likely, this is just going to be a huge area of wind and rain, which will continue to impact the Eastern Caribbean and then work its way into the Turks and Caicos and portions of the Bahamas as we get through the end of the week and into the weekend, right? By the way, coupled with this front. Now, this front is going to be a steering mechanism for this large area of spin because obviously as the front moves west, it's going to hit the front, and that's going to kind of push it back to the north and to the east. So let's break down how this is going to play out on the models. We'll start off with the GFS model here, and I'll go ahead and we'll just look at the reflectivity, and I'll bring it out for about a week in time, something like that here. Just put this into motion. Again, the two features we'll be talking about are front and then our large area of spin. So eventually they kind of all homogenize and come together, right? This spin, first of all, you can clearly see moves west, but then actually gets pushed back towards the east as the strong winds start to rip it apart and that cold front continues to dive in. But we're going to see some impacts for portions of the Leeward Islands, the Greater Antilles, and potentially the eastern side of the Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas out of this. This is what it looks like on reflectivity. So again, fair amount of rain coming in. It's a relatively active pattern for December in these areas. And again, especially from places like Guadeloupe North, Antigua and Barbuda included in that, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. You can see more rain returning to the Dominican Republic and Haiti as well, and over to the Turks and Caicos. Now on the front side of this, the cold front coming in, this will begin to kind of dissipate, but we'll still see some heavier rain for portions of the Yucatan, Belize and Honduras and Guatemala through tomorrow. Some of that will try and stream back into the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, but rain chances there won't be extremely high the next few days. There'll be some passing showers, and then some of the moisture will try and work its way into the central and the southeast Bahamas, but again, losing a bit of integrity because again, relatively speaking, the air as we speak is somewhat drier. Now, this is moisture-laden air that will bring fast-moving showers. The one thing that I'm not extremely concerned about right now is going to be the opportunity for excessive rainfall. It's because the winds are going to be so strong, the rain is going to be moving exceptionally fast. That's going to kick up sea conditions though. So again, mariners, please be advised that anywhere near this broad spin, we're going to have a lot of wind. You can clearly see that on this vorticity product from the GFS model. This is a composite of the lower levels of the atmosphere, right? So we pick up our first broad spin coming in. It begins to interact with our cold front, kind of puts the brakes on any movement. Little piece of energy is left behind, and there's a little secondary spin out here. And you get this a lot this time of the year. These mid-level cyclones kind of developing in the Atlantic, interacting with the fronts coming off the United States East Coast and kind of creating perturbations or spins of their own. Nothing is truly warm cored, right? Which is why we wouldn't be having a true tropical system. If it were going to happen, it would have to happen in the Caribbean because sea surface temperatures would still support a warm cored low. But you get into the Atlantic this time of the year, it's more cold cored systems. But again, any subtropical storm still bears a name. So it always bears watching as well. And there's a massive storm. Boy, the UK got hammered over the last few days with a very strong storm, especially over last weekend and early this week. And there's another one coming their way pretty soon as well. So let's get into kind of how this looks with a couple of different models. I already showed you the GFS, right? Let me just show you the European ensemble. Again, more than anything, and I'll step to this side, you'll see that it picks up on this broad low, bringing it into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, right there, near the Dominican Republic. And then as it begins to interact with the front, it gets pushed back up to the north and to the east. And you can see it actually gets stronger as it does. That's very common, right? These storms wrap up as they get north in latitude this time of the year towards Bermuda. And again, it'll be left with a lot of wind, okay? So when we look at this on the wind profile, and I'll bring this into motion as well, loop that up, and I'll take these vector fields and I'll make them a little bit bigger so everyone can see. The biggest concern I actually have is a lot of wind and then some fast moving showers. So I would expect opportunity for some gale conditions in portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, the northern side of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then the northern sides of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, and the Leeward Islands as well. So hopefully this will loop up and come fairly quickly. A lot of data overall. Let me see here. I'm going to help it out a little bit. I'm going to take it down a couple of days so it just doesn't take forever to render. But this will still get us, let's see, today is Wednesday. This will still get us through the weekend. That's good enough. All right. So let's let this data pop on for a second. Hopefully it will do so in short order. Sometimes it goes very quickly. Sometimes it doesn't. That's the nature of things. Come on. All right, there we go. So again, I showed you this product the last video. You're never going to see this wrapped up area of low pressure on this surface-based wind product, but you can see the kink. You can clearly see the kink, and then I showed you that vorticity, which is the mid-level reflection of this, right? So here we come with this. First of all, north winds ahead of it, diving in. Behind it, strong easterlies will continue, but the winds will really get strong for Bermuda, and then again, the eastern side of the Bahamas, especially as that broad spin interacts with our cold front. Now, I'm talking about some winds up here, by the way, that could be pushing 35 miles an hour and not in gusts and sustained. Anywhere you see these whites, towards Bermuda, those are going to be some really strong winds. If I take a look at the text vectors here, and again, it might be a little bit hard to see, but I'll crank up their size, and even I have to kind of take a look at them. But you can see there's some 25 and 30 mile an hour winds here. Let's see, I can look at it right here. So any of the whites is 30 to 35 mile an hour winds. So you get the idea. Go back over to our arrows here. Strong easterlies coming off of this, right? A little bit weaker as the actual spin comes in, but ahead of it, you can see those winds turning. Now, my friends in Jamaica have enjoyed nice, strong northeast winds, and that will continue to be the case over the Cayman Islands and Cuba as well, and generally a northeasterly wind for Central America as well. Aruba's winds, Bonaire and Curacao, will pick up out of the north and eventually swing out of the east. And then if you live in the rest of the Lesser Antilles, again, it's mainly the easterlies and the fast-moving showers, right? And again, this feature brings enough moisture with it where fast-passing showers will continue to be in the forecast. So this is what it looks like island by island. Again, with the front coming in for the northwest Bahamas late tonight, early tomorrow, it's a 40% chance for rain. Stalling out a bit will provide a 30% chance for showers Friday, then basically dry Saturday. It's isolated for the central and the southeast Bahamas. Best chance is going to be on Friday. As our large spin gets closer to the Turks and Caicos, rain chances will improve on Saturday. Cuba's rain chances stay at 40%. It's pretty dry for the Cayman Islands the next few days. Belize City's best chances are later today and then early on our Thursday, drying out Friday, Saturday. Cancun and Cozumel dry it out even quicker as the front goes off towards the south. So a few showers tomorrow, dry Friday, Saturday. Jamaica's rain chances aren't high, just 10% chance tomorrow, 20 on Friday, Saturday. Dominican Republic, 40 Thursday, Friday, 30 on Saturday. Rain chances ramp up for Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. And again, the bigger story is the wind that will be coming along with this wind-driven rain. So up to a 60% chance on Saturday. Bermuda somewhat dry, but a lot of wind. Look at Anguilla's rain chances, 40% chance tomorrow. Then as that spin gets into the area, it's a 60 on Friday, Saturday, up to a 70% chance for rain for St. Kitts and Nevis to kick off the weekend. Same thing for our friends in Antigua and Barbuda. High rain chances there. Good rain chances in Montserrat and Guadeloupe, 40 to a 50% chance each day. Slightly lower the farther south that you go in the island chain. So Dominica and Martinique, 30 to a 40, about a 30 each day for St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. 30 tomorrow in Barbados. Again, fast-moving rain. Still can't rule out pockets of heavy rain. Trinidad saw that today, but it is isolated in nature. 20 Friday, 30 Saturday, 20 to a 30 in Grenada, 30 to a 40 for Trinidad, Suriname, and Guyana, and then about a 20% chance each day for Nueva Esparta and the ABC Islands. Boy, whew. Again, boaters, I would be avoiding the northern side of the islands here for a bit. I'd be sheltering up on the southern side, and again, obviously the front coming in through the Gulf of Mexico is going to have some impacts as well, but you can clearly see then these wave heights. You know, greens, 8-foot waves, yellows, we're into 10 to 12-foot waves. So the exposed waters of the Atlantic are going to be kicked up. Always check in with kind of the local marine forecast, but I can just tell you in a broad sense, there's going to be a lot of kicked up swells and some bad surf conditions as well close to shore with this broad spin coming in and the wind that's going to be driving. As far as rain goes, obviously you can see the front coming in on the top left-hand side of your screen. On the right-hand side of your screen, here comes that feature kind of filling in the gap in between. And you can see that the general feature stays north and east of the islands with the heaviest rain, but it does spin in some showers here. You can see the heavier rain along the Caribbean coastline of Central America as the front stalls. And again, just an abundant amount of moisture. We still have that Central American gyre. We haven't talked about it much. It's beginning to lose its grip, but it's still spinning in enough moisture-laden air where heavy rain is likely for Central America. You can clearly see where this front kind of tails off with some of that rain, and there is your easterlies bringing in on the windward side of some of the islands here, the Lesser Antilles, some spots of heavier rain as well. What do you say we take a look at the rainfall on the GFS model? That was the European. Again, you can clearly see our broad feature here, and thankfully, really, we're not going to have this come closer to the islands than this, we hope, because again, these pockets of yellow, guys, that's over 14 inches of rain in these little spots in green. So on the GFS model, we get towards Barbuda and Antigua, we're maybe going to get an inch or so, maybe towards Anguilla a little bit more. As I've mentioned, I'm not overly concerned with the amount of rain because these showers are going to be moving so rapidly, maybe up towards Puerto Plata, the Samana Peninsula there, even not even towards Santiago de los Caballeros. Maybe we can get a couple of inches, maybe up to 2. Same thing for the eastern sides of Cuba. But even with the front coming in here, Walker's Key and Freeport, Lucaya, 1/4 to 1/2 inch at best. Jamaica's rain is not going to be excessive. Again, maybe 1/2 inch on the northeast side. There's that heavier rainfall for coastal Belize, southern sides of Quintana Roo. Again, a couple of spots offshore, 5 to 6 inches, but that could hit some of the islands there. Even the Bay Islands of Honduras, Utila, on over towards Roatan, Guanaja. A couple of inches are possible there. You can just clearly see again that we're favoring these areas for some good rain. Caribbean coastline of Costa Rica. And again, back over here, we pick up a little bit of moisture coming back in. So it really is one of these things where Trinidad might have a much better chance for heavier rain, even compared to its compatriot to the north in Tobago and Grenada and Barbados and the rest of the Windward Islands. But everyone gets an opportunity for some rain. Relatively speaking, for December, rainfall-wise, it's still a pretty active pattern. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can follow us across all social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And while you're down there, you want to do me a very simple but very important payback. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not as of yet. Friends, have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'm back soon with the latest forecast. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.